I love it. Every time I'm here.
Yeah, it's coming.
No, don't talk, it gets us too.
Oh, it gets worse.
It's getting colder.
Okay, we're going to
It's getting colder.
Don't scare, we need it.
Yeah, but it's amazing. The group of people that we have around it's amazing. It doesn't feel like working. It just feels like you're here to have fun. And every night is like different from the previous night. It's amazing, man. Yeah.
Thank you, brother. Thank you for making the voyage, and Natasha for having the wisdom to bring a few actual Zambians into this production. So how's this experience been for you?
My gosh, I mean, we have what, 4 Zambians in the show, which feels like a remarkable feat. But I will say, it really is this experience has been made for me really by the artistic director, Nina Liakino. I gave her the script, yeah.
Yeah,
Really.
she rocked.
This is the first play I've ever written, and there are very few people who would take a risk or a shot on me, and I'd always come to Nina and be like, oh, thank you so much, Nina, for doing this. I feel so fortunate. She's like, no, the work is there. Like, thank you for doing this so I can put it up. And so she's always been such a champion of me as an artist, as an actor, as I've been her apprentice artistic director, I've been her movement director. I've worked with her so many times in so many different capacities, and she's one of my favorite, if not my favorite creator to work with. And when I handed her the script, I was like, I'm good. The way I chilled, like, she really allowed me to be an actor. And I had an incredible dramaturg who worked on it with me as well, Rick Knowles, who's sort of been with me halfway through the journey. And Nina was like, you really need to play this part. And I was like, girl, I don't know, man, it's my first time. Let me just write the play, let me watch it, you know? And she created a team around me to be able to do the acting component of it. And so it's such a privilege, it's so surreal. It kind of doesn't feel like I wrote the play anymore, I don't know how to explain it, but because I'm doing this acting work, there's sort of this, it's taken on its own form and entity, especially now that audiences are seeing it and responding to it, it feels like its own little force. And then we have our community and we just do the show every night and we get to share it with you, and it's such a privilege, such a privilege.
Thank you for allowing us that privilege of seeing all of your wonderful work.
Yes.
I noticed there was a gentleman just in the center there. Please yell your question.
Sure. So, great play. You just made a comment that was really interesting. You said that I'm glad someone took a chance on me, which is very much like the character you played in the
Yeah,
play.
couple parallels.
My real question though was, when or how did you get the idea to incorporate a little bit of dance? There's a couple of scenes there with some dance in, which I found really interesting and unusual.
Yeah.
So that's one question. Second, well, it's not a question, it's a comment. In the play, there's a line, your sister in the play says, I was at the shop right in East Park, but we were actually there.
Stop, don't kill me. Right, come on. So you know the scale, right? Yes.
You know how bad that is.
That's amazing.
South Africa as well.
Yeah, oh yeah, they're all over Southern
everywhere.
Africa.
That's our movement director, Tawia McCarthy.
Sorry, Natasha, just for
Yeah.
just for the folks in the back who didn't hear the question, it was what was like the decision to incorporate the dance in there?
Yeah, and so we had our movement director, actually Tawia and I have worked together, Tawia, Nina and I have worked together on another show called The African Mean Girls Play, which happened in Toronto. And I love working with the 3 of them, and I was like, Nina, should Tawia do the movement for this? And she was like, 100%, let's do it. So we took him to Zambia as well. So Nina, myself, and Tawia went to Zambia, where we did the workshop with the Zambian actors, and we took Kondwani and Mpemba and said, please come to Canada with us. It's not that cold, everything's gonna be fine. And so Tawia really just built this with Nina, and all of the movements and sequences, Nina sort of determined that she wanted the play to have movement and pace, because I gave her the crazy task of having scenes in the past, in the future, then flip here, then flip there, especially at the beginning. And so she knew Tawia would be, anyway, so Tawia and her really worked on those moments, but also enhanced, like, it's like the transitions and then like the personal journeys within it and the weight that the characters are, all of that to them. And the funny thing about it is I haven't seen that. Y'all have seen that. We don't know what the full story is that you're receiving, but Tawia and Nina do. And so I'm glad that that came through. Yeah.
The authenticity of adding in the shop right as well is great. So for those of you who are maybe haven't don't know, ShopRite is a grocery chain. It's not groceries, but it's a
Yes,
Oh,
it
she's
is.
grocery.
It's like Metro.
Yeah.
It's like
The Walmart of Africa.
There you go.
Yeah,
Of
yeah,
Africa,
that's
because
it.
it is, I'm originally from Malawi, and it's in Malawi,
Yep.
it's in Zambia, so the authenticity of having ShopRite in there is quite salient, so yes. I saw a hand up over there, gentlemen.
And first of all, great play, and it comes across as being a finished play, which is really the essence of my question, I guess, about the development process. You mentioned a dramaturge,
Yeah.
and you also said this is your first play, which is incredible to believe. But was this play workshopped or?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think one of the great things of having Nina, who worked at at Factory Theater, which was just producing new plays, like that was the machine of it. So she has a very good handle on new play development. And the gift and rarity of developing new plays is not enough time and not enough long workshops. Sometimes it would be like a workshop for a day, a workshop for 2-3 days. But Nina was like, what do you need? 2 weeks? Do you need 3 weeks? What do you need? Do you need two weeks of break and then come back? So once she decided that this is something that she wanted to do, this has been in development for 5 years. And I was doing it by myself, applied for grants at first. And then the second I was like, I think there's something here, I called Nina, and then she became the advocate. She was like, okay, let's get you workshop. I think we did 5 workshops, and then Zambia was 6. Yeah.
Wow. Wow, that's awesome.
I think there's something here, is that what you said? Yeah, I think there's something, definitely something there. Got some questions come up for, over there on the right side of the stage.
So I have an easy question and a more like existential question. So the easy question is, where are you guys going next so I can tell everybody I know everywhere
that's
that is the play?
nice.
It was awesome.
Thank you.
And then the second one is, it was incredibly resonating to see a play that actually challenges us as Canadians and our self-perception of what we do around the world. But at the same time, as the child of immigrants, resonates with a lot of the same storylines
Yeah.
of going back home, because it doesn't matter what continent you immigrated from, that family dynamic
Yup.
of like what we gave you versus what you left
Yes.
is there.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to know, like, how much of that is from your own lived experience? How did you draw on this incredible community of actors as you were workshopping to make that so real and so resonating?
I think for me, the first piece was, so I grew up in the Copper Belt, and I grew up in a mining town. I was born in a mining hospital, and I'd spent a lot of time in my childhood sort of hearing about the billions of dollars coming out of our country, and then sort of looking at the infrastructure of our small town, and the two things sort of not matching. So that was kind of what started the journey. And then what happened was I was on a streetcar in Toronto, and I saw Peter Monk's name. Peter Monk is, yeah, we know Peter Monk. And he is a philanthropist and also was the CEO and founder of Barrick Gold. And then I sort of started looking at that, and he owned one of the mines in my small town. And so I just sort of started thinking about Canada and doing research on Canadian mining, and then I was like, whoa. I was like, I knew it was happening, I just didn't know that they were the leaders of extraction. And so I was so fascinated by this contradiction of the environmentalist, multicultural perspective, and then this really intense, aggressive mining sort of format. And so those two things I was comparing constantly while I was writing the piece, and I was interested in Peter, who plays my boyfriend in the show, who is this sort of like charming, fun, playful, which is very Canadian, feels safe-ish, and sort of playing with that, and the two-sided face of that. But then at the same time, I also understood the accountability back home and what it meant for people who were elite Zambians who were part of the problem as well. And so I wanted to sort of, I didn't want to come and tell people this is the right thing to do, this is the wrong thing to do. I just sort of wanted to paint a picture and say, these are the moving parts. How do you feel about that? What would you do if you were in this situation? If you wanted your father to love you, and if you wanted your partner to stay? Because there's this basic, not basic, but well-known quote that economics is a study of people. And so systems and humanity, like that's what interests me as a playwright. So it was nice to get to explore that all the decisions that are made in economics and around the world are all centered on this basic human need to be seen, to be loved, and to be known. And yeah, and that was kind of how I started building the world. Oh, this is better. Sorry. Yeah.
Thanks for that, Natasha. I'm trying to remember if my friends from Ottawa, you there, did you have a question or not? You did not have a question. You did not. Okay, you were just clapping. Front row, I'm trying to follow the sequence here. Front row, you had a question? No, you were
No,
not.
I just
People were
went,
reacting.
I
So
just kept
I
going
wanna
from up.
come there in the middle there. You've
My
got
way
the
of
pink
thanking.
hoodie, and then we'll go to you over there, and then Sarah, you're coming. But yeah, please go ahead.
I just have a comment and a question for Natasha. First of all, I went to Canterbury Drama, so like,
Come on, Canterbury.
yeah, so like for 4 years I heard your name, and then starting to see your name on like playbills, like the Welkin, and now this, and now it's so cool to talk to you. So that's just, I don't know, really fun. But I do have a question. So like thinking back to like Greek theater, Shakespearean, like playwrights had to write about like the rich and the noble because that's what was like interesting. And now we're at a point where you can write about anything you want. So like, I guess, what's the reasoning for writing a play where every single character on stage is still like ultra rich? And how do you make sure that's still like relatable and accessible for like an audience of like normal people?
That's a great question. I think one of the big impulses that I knew I wanted for the show, I've talked to a couple of people about this, but when it comes to African storytelling, what do people think about? What's one of the first things, especially in theater? And there's a lot, when I moved to this country, there was a strong narrative that was always around suffering, it was always about war, and it was always about pain.
Yeah.
And Lombe mentions that in one of her speeches, the younger sister, about what the media has on cycle. And so I wanted to see something I hadn't seen. I wanted to see rich Africans on stage. That was one of my first impulses. I was like, I think theatrically that is useful. I think in the spirit of humanity, it's also very useful because we can get trapped in the single narrative about what the African experience is.
Right.
So that's what brought me to the wealth of it. And the messiness of human beings and families, what I hope brought the connectivity of it.
Okay.
Like we can relate to a messy family, a problematic family, even as great as some people's families are. So that was sort of the two things that I was playing with, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Thank you for the question. Great question. I see some nodding from the cast here to Natasha's great response there, an articulate response. Verona, I'm queuing on you. How is your reflection of seeing the words on the page of affluence in Africa there? So what's your response to that?
I mean,
as somebody acting?
It's just gonna be the same, basically, as what she said. Like, I was nodding because I agreed with what she was saying. Do you know what I mean? Like the simple answer to the question is like, because they're African. Like, it's always poverty when it comes to us. You know what I'm saying? Like, always. And that's just not the case, obviously. We're a diverse people, just like anywhere else. And we're a continent where a lot of raw materials come out of, like she said, you know, I'm from Botswana, we have diamonds. Like, every country has some kind of hectic raw material that y'all love out here in the West. We just like, you know what I'm saying? So no, it's like making a lot of money. So yeah, it's just that. Like, you don't see that very often. You'll just see it in like soap operas, but even those, or like TV shows, but even those TV shows, those African TV shows, people over here don't really watch those as much unless you are African. Do you know what I'm saying? On stage, you never see it.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Verona. Sorry I put you on the spot there, but
all
you
good.
built on that.
I'm
That's
here.
great. That's great.
I'm here with a mic in my hand.
With the lovely sequin black shirt.
Great play.
Thank you.
We would see it multiple times. So my question is for the non-Zambians. How easy was it for you to learn the language? Because my friend here is Zambian, and it was able to really understand what you were saying.
Hi, Zambia.
So
Come
for
on.
Oh my God, you guys are Zambian? Did you say you're Zambian?
No, my friend here is
You're Zambian?
Yes.
She invited us.
Oh my
Eric?
gosh.
So the question
No,
there
it's a good
for the back of the
question.
house was for the non-Zambians, right? If I understood that correctly, for the non-Zambians, so not Yukon one. How easy was it to find your way into the linguistic elements there?
It's not easy at all because the language you have to learn. Eric and I are really the non-Zambians that had to speak Bemba, but we had an amazing coach that was here. She also came in from Zambia, Chilu. What's Chilu's last name?
Katongo.
Okay, yeah.
You said, yeah.
there you go. She was here for like a week and a half or something like that. She was fantastic, and so she really took us through it. And like, I still have her because, you know, she recorded a bunch of stuff, so I listen to it every day and just go through it. And part of it is that you kind of have to forgive yourself. Like, I don't speak the language. I wasn't familiar with the language. So part of it is just like, okay, I'm speaking the language like a foreigner. As long as I can speak it to make some kind of sense. I keep looking at the, okay. the pressure. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, but I'll let Eric talk because Eric and I commiserate a lot, you know? We sort of hug each other and it's just like, we can do this, we're okay.
I got it.
Yeah.
Echoing everything that was said, I feel like it was I had such a good safety net of our dialect coach and our cast, and I felt anytime I could just grab anybody and be like, so how do you say that? One more time, how do you say that? And I just felt very, very good, and I also, luckily, I think it felt a little natural or good to dive in despite the fears and everything, because luckily the track that was written for Musolo, like everything just felt really justified, and I felt like I could lean into more what's happening in the moment and scene, and it would just kind of propel out of you, I guess. But at the beginning, I had a really good safety net around me, so I'm really grateful, and I'm rambling.
Kundwani, you are experiencing people speak Bemba, who have a yeah, and actually, I was told I've been pronouncing my name wrong, by the way. So that
How did you say that?
I was gonna say,
like,
what is his name? So how was that for you to experience them coming into your language as well? And then we'll go to the front row here.
Amazing, seeing the effort that her and Eric just putting in that effort of like, how do you say it? How do you say it? I was like, oh my god, this is good. I just love seeing someone struggle, because back home we have plays where they're just in English, right? And then we have people that have never spoken English, and so they're trying to like teach you how to speak English, and coming in and seeing someone trying to speak Bemba. It was good, but at the same time, I didn't feel like they're not Bemba or anything. I don't know, that's weird, but I just felt like they need to tap into something, which they actually did. Because I kept saying to Eric, like, don't think about it. I think you have the Bemba in you, just let it be. Yeah, I don't think they needed to go anywhere. It's just there in them, and they did it. And they do it every night, and every time. Every time she goes like, I was like, that's my mom. She says the exact same thing, so I'm just happy.
Love it. Thank you for that. Front row here, please. Go ahead and the yellow.
Love the play. You're all stars, but you are a star. Like the whole, but just about the whole, like, I get the wanting to have wealthy Zambians. What about the corruption? Was that something that was uncomfortable to add in? Did that seem like a...
You know, surprisingly, no. It was so regular. You know what I mean? It's so regular. But I think what I'm interested in is there is it's getting less and less sophisticated, corruption in the Western world. I think that because of everything that we're watching and witnessing, there is such a heightened level of corruption in every nation. And I think that the West has done a very good job at hiding it and putting blame on other nations as being more corrupt. So to me, pulling up, and 100%.
Yeah.
And so to me, I surprisingly wasn't scared to name it, because to me it was part of the whole piece. And there's corruption here, and there's also corruption there. And as the research was happening, I was like, this is what it is, and I cannot just, if I feel like, oh, I want Zambian people to look perfect, that's not why I'm an artist. I wanted to pull out the humanity in anyone that I write. If I decide to write from different places, there's no value in creating a single narrative about anyone. And so I think when we see our humanity in other people, and the fault, but I think what I'm interested in is why the corruption. And so for me in this piece, Chief, I love him so much as a character. He's so problematic, but I get him. I understand what the struggle is, and to me, dramatically as a playwright, that's what's of interest to me. He did a corrupt thing, but he can tell you why he did it, and then you get to decide if that's a good reason or not. And that's all I'm interested in doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're awesome, man.
We will, listen, I've got You're gonna skip out Sarah on your question? Okay, so we've got to go to Sarah over here on stage left, and then we'll go up there, and then we'll, I think, maybe end on the orange. I want to give these folks a bit of rest. They've been working for the whole week, and they do have another show tomorrow. So somebody had said you want to get tickets again. You don't have to go elsewhere just yet, but so you can come and watch it a couple times here. So we'll start with Sarah.
So real quick, shout out to Natasha for throwing some Swahili. I'm very proud Kenyan. So when I heard that and I started hearing, I recognized Benwa. I have Zambian friends.
Nice.
I was like, wait, what? You know, I've never seen that in any play in Canada. Yeah. How did you strategically choose to throw in African
Yeah.
dialect in the dialogue? Because I was like, yeah, that's exactly where I would put it.
Yeah.
You know,
I think it,
how did you insert that?
the first impulse for me is I wanted it to sound like my home.
Yeah.
There's a soundtrack in my mind of when I walk into the house, like I don't speak Bemba well, so my parents will speak English to me, and then when they're kind of giving me an insult, they'll say it in Bemba, and then they'll speak to my sister who speaks Bemba fluently, so speak to her fluently, and the vibe was just so different, and I was like, this is really interesting. I was like, this would be interesting to see theatrically, because there's intention behind all of it. And then I got Chuluba Nsofu, who was our cultural consultant, and she did all the translation and so we worked together for 3 years. And going to Zambia, we did a translation workshop with the whole team after we had worked together for 3 years. And she helped me, she essentially built the rhythm of it. Like, she would offer me something, like, it feels like, you know, mom would have done a little bit of this, and she's like, okay, I got you, yeah. And so then we would just dance and sort of mix it together, and then we got to do it with Zambian actors, which was really great and really informative, and then we did one more pass before we got here, and then we had her here while we were finishing it up on stage.
It was very well done. And
Thank you.
African, I was like, that sounds like my house.
That's fantastic. That's the goal.
That's exactly.
Yeah.
Come
Nice.
in.
That's why I was curious.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'll pass the thanks.
Absolutely great question, and I think really intelligently done. I'm going back to your comment about people from different households and different types of households. For sure, there's an African element in there, accents included with the language weaving in. But I have my brother-in-law is Polish, and I think I've heard the same thing where it's like, oh, I think your mom just insulted you. That's a universal way in. Last two questions up there. I think you have wonderful Tukon. Please yell your questions here a little bit.
Okay, thank you. The play was amazing. This is actually my third time watching
Yes, sir! I know! Come with us to Toronto.
What I've learned each time has been so unique, and I love how you've had that conversation in families. Now, my question is for all of you guys, as a cast, what's the biggest lesson you've learned from each of your characters, and the most challenging when you're playing those roles for each of your characters?
Whoa.
Okay. An easy one, I like it.
That's a thick one.
He's watched it a few times, so.
I know, right?
Yeah, you're in it.
Great.
You're in it. You're in it.
They know what they're talking about.
Eric?
Something that I've learned, man, and I think I cherish this so deeply every time I get to play Musolo, is that vulnerability is a very, very powerful and strong thing. And I'm I'm not cheating, but that was what I struggled with too. Outside of your question, I think coming into this rehearsal process, there was a lot of moments where I think the vulnerability had to be shown. That first flashback scene that I did with Natasha, I remember something wasn't clicking, and Tewi, our movement director, let me know that it's what I was feeling. I was like, something's so uncomfortable. I can't finish this scene. He's like, you just need to let yourself, surrender to these feelings that's happening. And so I think that's something that I just admire so deeply about Musolo, and he carries that with him. And I'm trying to just bring that in my life. And I think it's also something I get to practice before I do the show when I see these guys every day, and everyone's willing to catch me. So yeah, that's just something that end of thought.
there's so many things I can say about my girl Eden. It's so funny. Anyway, I won't say that about her, but I genuinely do love her, and I do understand her. I think she's a hard person. She'd be a hard person to be a friend with. You'd be like, girl, when are we meeting up? Like, it's been months. But I'll say this, like, as playing her, the hardest thing to take on was the unapologetic confidence sometimes, like her certainty about her ability. I was like, damn, it was really hard for me to like sit into that, because even with this play, I was like, yeah, I got this, I wrote this play, you know what I mean, I'm the one, I'm that. But she had a certain level of confidence, and I mean, you've seen her fractured throughout the whole piece, but there's this force that she has underneath her, and she just refuses to stop. She has decided she's undeniable, and I maybe used to feel that way when I was younger, but it's nice to be in a part like that to remind me that I'm not there, and that it is something to aspire to. But that was challenging, and that's also the thing that I continue to learn from her. Yeah, take up space.
Oh, I was listening too much. I'm a little bit stuck, but because Harriet is older than I am, but also she's made a lot of choices that I wouldn't make in my life. Do you know what I mean? But there's something about her sense of like family, I'm trying to say words, but family being like, family being number one, but also I'm like, my family's number one. But like, I live in Canada with my little like immediate family. The rest of my family lives at home. Sometimes I see them, so sometimes it's too expensive to go and stuff like that. But just the way she's so like, I feel like she's the center. She like brings them all together, and so that's something that at least I can say that I really admire about her. Yeah.
Last on that one.
Well, it's been a lot, but one thing that stood out for me was as I was developing or maybe going through the process of finding this guy, it was like at the same time I was also trying to find myself, and the similarities were too good to look at, and at some point I was like really scared. I was like, I don't think I want people to see me like that on stage. When I'm going off on the kids, I'm like, I understand you, but there's something else that I'm looking at the bigger picture. When Chief has this conversation with Daliso, and I'm trying to understand, but at the same time, I'm like, just because I understand you doesn't mean I've forgiven you. So going through that, just listening to someone, I'm like, yeah, you did that. Yeah, that's good, but still, that doesn't sit well with me. That doesn't heal me just because you've explained it to me. But carrying that with the play and being like, I hate your father, and this is what he's trying to do, and I'm gonna support you. Even though Kondwan is like, okay, that's huge. What he did was big deal. Yeah, it was a lot. So trying to like balance that for me as a person and the character, it's been a journey. I think if I'm being honest, every night is different, and I'm trying to learn that as I'm going through every performance. I'm like, okay, today I understood him, but okay, today I think. So it's every night, it's like I'm trying to also find myself, at the same time find the character.
Amazing. Thank you for that response.
Wow.
Woo! Last question in the orange sweater.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. The question there, I think if I heard it correctly, was in the process of doing research for the piece, if you were informed by anything in particular that stood out. Am I paraphrasing that correctly? Yes, okay.
This is what comes to mind. Doing research on mining in Canada is a very gaslighting experience. It's incredibly gaslighting. The internet is not enough. I had to do I went out to a lot of organizations, anti-mining organizations, even mining organizations, some people who worked in certain places, because you sort of go in a loop and you look for something, but the PR in mining firms are next level. They're truly next level. And so there were many times while I was writing the show, I was like, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they do have a handle on this, and everything might be okay. And I was like, Natasha, no, it's not. It's like, you're right, let me get back in there, you're right. So, I mean, that was a very interesting challenge for me. But once I sort of got my connective points and my people, and some support in that realm, it was more, it made the process a little bit more, made me feel a little bit more confident. But even still, like, if I'm being honest, like, I didn't know how this play was gonna be received. I still don't. There are many people who are gonna see it and respond to it differently, and people might feel defensive of Canada. People might feel like, anyway, so I'm kind of ready for anything. And to your question about the fear of the corruption, like, it's more fear, not even fear, but just awareness that not everyone's gonna be like, amazing, thanks for calling us out on things that we need to. But I hope that because there's a balance between accountability back home and accountability here, that people can just sort of acknowledge that we are working in really corrupt systems, and we're all trying to figure out a way to exist together. And I think awareness is the biggest thing that I want this piece to bring, and a perspective, and a new perspective as well. Yeah.
Amazing. Eric, Kandwani, Orona, and Natasha, I want to thank you for another amazing night of this performance, and many, many more to come. Thank you for coming in. Please, let's give them another hand.
Amazing, man.
February 7th, sorry.
So you have 2 more nights here, but you have friends in the GTA, Stratford, London, Cambridge, or something. Get them to Toronto.
Toronto. Thank you, Andy. If you're going to see it, see it.